Hi, hi everyone. It is me, Jordan Long here, and today I'm going to be, talking, with, Jesus though. Since today is Good Friday, one of the sundriest holy days or holidays, which which onlooks Jesus and his and his way of atoning for the sins and misdeeds of mankind and womankind. Now everyone knows the saga and tale about how on Maundy Thursday, or whatever the English word for that would be, where he had a talk with his 12 followers and learners and told them what was going to happen, even though they did not believe that it was going to happen. They didn't know how he had that foresight that all that was going to happen. So it did. And it also kind of led, to being yielded, having a stretch not only between the Jewish near leader, but also having a stretch with the settling elder or leader, and how they ended up being seated guilty when he wasn't guilty of anything, and how he went through all the beatings, all the scathing, all the shaming and guilting, and how he was then not put to death, and how most folks, he's in his most trusted followers and learners, because they were both, did not think that that would be the end of him, and were truly happy to hear that he had lived, that he had come back from the dead after all of that, and opened the gateway to heaven for all to go through. Well, yes, today is Good Friday, Jordan. And some folks might say, well, Jesus, how can there be anything good on Good Friday? Well, the grounds to why I call it Good Friday is that good is going to happen. That those stretches and those hearings and those beatings, and that guilting and shaming and all those beat downs and whatever else, for all of that, and also being put on a round and dying, that no one would think that was good. But you see, God had set that up as the only way that mankind and womankind could truly have their sins taken on and cleaned away. And God loved you so much, he was willing to put me through. God loved all mankind and forgave them so much, he was willing to put me through it. And even though I asked if there was any other ways other ways I could do it, but God told me that was the only way that I could have their sins, atoned for. And I loved you so much, I was willing to put myself through, those fake stretches and fake hearings, getting beat up, struck, being guilted, shamed, and scathed, being put on a round, and yielding my soul and my life up to my Father God, knowing that me and God would then have to clean all those sins away through any of the blood that was spilled, through the beatings that I took, and that Lucifer was losing, and he didn't know it yet. And on Easter Sunday, God brought me back from the dead to let everybody know there was life after death, and that through God and through me, they had a stead in heaven. Well, I always onlook you and worship you and love you, Jesus, for everything that you and God have done for us and what you're still doing for us. You know, and I want to say thank you that you were bold enough and fearless enough to go through that. You know, to go through those beatings, to go through those, you know, going through all those beatings, you know, to have your good name besmirched by some folks, you know, to go through, you know, unfair stretches and hearings, and then being seen guilty of something when you weren't guilty of anything. And for someone like you, who the only man that ever lived, who lived a both sinless, flawless, good life, and going through all of that, because you loved me so much you were willing to take all that on. And that God loved me and forgave me so much that he was willing to have you go through all that, and you were willing to go through all of that too. Yes, Jordan, God's love and forgiveness for mankind and womankind has no ends, you know? And this shows that God, my Father, and I loved and forgave you so much, knowing that you were sinful, knowing that you were flawed, knowing that you could never meet the high standards set by God and set by me, but God and I loving you and forgiving you so much. You know, that being all knowing and all seeing and almighty and all loving and all forgiving and all holy and all righteousness, that we both went through all that. You know? Well, Jesus, I just want to know one thing. Was that the handicap that we would all have to go through? That we would have to, you know, take on, we had to get beat up and then put on around to die? Was that really the handicap? Well, to say that that was the handicap, you see, you men and women are sinful by deeds and by thoughts. I don't really think that God meant for you to go through that. But you see, since you became sinful, you were undying. But when you learned what sin was and you learned to give in to sin, you lost that you became dying. And so the handicap is that one grows old and one dies. But through God and through me, that afterlife, you get that in heaven. And that was what it was all about. Yes, I understand that, Jesus. And I want to say thank you to God and thank you to you, because you both loved us all so much and forgave us oh so much that we were sinful, that we were flawed. But you both thought highly of us, that one was willing to put you through all that, and the other was willing to go through all of that. Well, you're welcome. I love you, Jesus. And I love God too. Well, my Father God and I love you as well. You know, and thanks to all that God did and that I did, you now have a stead in heaven through God my Father and through me myself. Before you go, Jesus, one little thing. Was everyone's sins taken on? Yes, everyone's sins were taken on, atoned for. So if they believe that, that's great. If they don't believe that, that's good too. Because either way, I atoned for their sins, even if they believe it or they choose not to believe it. Well, anyway, if you like that film, then follow me over here at the Jordan Long Fairway. Don't forget to play and Okay, See you all later, Jordan says. Goodbye, everyone.